Hello, welcome to Aviation 101 with Laura. Many of you know a lot of my content focuses on aircraft dispatchers. So today we are going to do a bit of a comparison between a college aircraft dispatch program, like where I teach, versus a non-college aircraft dispatch training program, like the one that I actually attended to get my certificate. So I have experience with both. Not going to claim to be unbiased about this since I work for a university, but I still think it might be helpful to you as we just think about the pros and cons of each of these ways of getting your aircraft dispatcher certificate. If you don't know what an aircraft dispatcher is, check out my free course about aircraft dispatchers on my website. This is the website. You can sign up totally free, get some content about becoming an aircraft dispatcher, see if maybe this is a career that you would like to explore. And I have other videos. The course will walk you through those, and there's little quizzes and things along the way. So let's dive in. So non-college degree program, like this is typically a program where you either go to a dispatch school for a set period of time, like 5 weeks, 6 weeks. If it's every day, all day, you could have no aviation experience and you could start there. That is a typical footprint. I have seen other options where you can do some of it online. I don't love online education for aircraft dispatchers, but I actually did this format where I did a lot of online study. I took my own notes. I worked very hard on it because then at the end of my self-study online, I had to go to the school, and I went to Sheffield School of Aeronautics in Florida, which no longer exists, sadly. And then I went to actual class for 2 weeks. At these very intense programs, you are immersed in aircraft dispatch learning. Typically, it's 8 hours a day or something like that. You may or may not have weekends off, depends on the school. And you also may be able to do like an evening program. I have seen those where they meet a certain amount of nights a week and it's more spread out. But regardless, you have to have at least 200 hours of course content determined by the school. And that is your non-college program. So it's very fast. You can get done very fast. You can go in with no prior experience. All of these programs, basically no prior experience. They are relatively inexpensive. If they aren't in your city, you're going to have to find somewhere to live for that period of time. Even if you do like a hybrid program where some is online and then some you go to the place, you're going to have to find somewhere to live. And so that is a thing to think about in your cost determination. So yeah, it's fast, it's cheap. They can likely help you find a job once you finish. And yeah, we'll get into picking a program in a little bit. Cons of this program. So the big downside I see is that it is so much information and so quickly. If you have no prior aviation knowledge, it is very hard to learn everything you need to learn in a 5 or 6 week period. The online programs, you may be able to space that out, but now the learning is on you. So again, how much can you learn? How quick can you learn it? When I did the online program, I was already a pilot, flight instructor, and had a fair amount of aviation experience. So it wasn't like I just had, nothing and then began the program. And even with that, when I went in person for 2 weeks, it was high intensity study. I was basically in my hotel room every night with flashcards and homework every night, practicing and learning. So it's very intense, very fast paced program. You don't get a degree. You get a little certificate. You get an FAA certificate if you pass the program, which is what you're after. But yeah, you're not getting a degree. And so because of that, typically they can't offer like student loan programs. Now they might have their own private financing method, but you're going to have to come up with a way to finance this type of program and take the time out of your life to focus on something, but that you're not actually getting a degree for. Now again, so that's kind of my pros and cons of that. Let's talk about colleges. So where I teach at LeTourneau University, our dispatch program can be pretty easily added to any of our aviation degrees. A lot of airlines do look favorably on if you have a bachelor's degree. Other job listings too. Sometimes they say bachelor's degree required. Sometimes they say bachelor's degree preferred. An airline may not require their dispatchers to have a bachelor's degree, but it might set you apart from other applicants. Again, it's depends on where you want to work. There are typically student loans available. and possibly scholarships for a college program, although I have seen some scholarships for a non-college degree program that just pays for the course. It's also possible. But like for colleges, typically, yeah, you can get scholarships, student loans. You are going to have longer to learn the material. So my students do go through actually more than 200 hours of course content, but it is spread out amongst many semesters. So they have like a Flight Science 1 class, basic ground school, then they do an instrument ground school, then they do a meteorology also with the instrument ground school. They do a course about airline operations and regulations, and then they finish the dispatch training where we bring it all together. But this is over several semester period. So you have more time for the material to be sinking in. You can combine it with other degrees. I have had a dispatcher student also get an accounting minor. So he got his accounting combined with dispatch. Really cool. Financial. I had another person combine it with a lot of different, like she was doing like a counseling minor type thing where she was looking at like mental health. You can change your mind, maybe focus on other areas. So it's often easily added to current degree programs, and some aviation institutions are adding dispatch. So like I just know that University of North Dakota, just huge aviation school, just finished their first class of inaugural aircraft dispatchers, have a 100% pass rate. So a lot of the colleges and universities, we are going to have a pretty high pass rate, and that's another good thing about a college program. Some of the fast track programs, they may not have as high of a pass rate of the students, but it might be because they're going through so many students and they're having classes start all the time. That's another pro for the non-college programs. Typically, you can start a class almost any time, depending on like what their school class schedule is. The other pro I would say for colleges is frequently you have someone teaching the program with more experience in aircraft dispatch, just because colleges generally have to hire people with a little more advanced higher education or more experience before we can be allowed to teach programs. And getting a bachelor's degree will set you up for maybe be able to teach dispatch on your own one day, or become like a trainer at the airline where you work, or even get into management. So with college, of course, it's longer and it's going to cost more money. Getting a degree is not as cheap as getting your dispatch certificate at a non-degree type program. So the main downside is, yes, it's more expensive. It is more time. And some people would argue, do airlines really care if you get a dispatcher, like if you have some kind of degree? I don't know. It depends on the company. It depends on where you want to work. Do they really care? I can't say for sure. If it's competitive, having a degree might help you stand out. If you're just trying to get through really fast, it's not going to be fast. Getting a degree is an investment of your time. And even if it's associate's degree, that's another investment of time. It's not like a 5 or 6 week program. Okay. So that's kind of some of the downsides for colleges. You can't just like come to me at LeTourneau University and say, oh, I want to get a dispatch certificate. Can I do it in 6 weeks? I'm going to say, no, you can't, because part of it is in our first ground school. And like I just outlined, it's multiple semesters. Now, when you are doing your evaluation of dispatch training programs, go to my website, aviationvault.com, theaviationvault.com. I will link to this page in the video description, but you can go here and download the dispatch training program evaluation checklist. It looks like this. It's a free PDF. Highly encourage you to download this, print it out, take it with you when you're talking to schools. I have a whole nother video where I go over all the things I'm asking myself about a training program before you just sign on the line and give them a lot of money. Either way, if it's a degree program for a bachelor's degree, associate's degree, or you're just getting a dispatcher certificate, just that's what you're doing, you really need to think about what is going to be included in what you are paying for, and what is the success rate like of those students in that program. So please evaluate that before you decide where to go for your dispatch certificate. Thank you guys for watching Aviation 101 with Laura. If you want to give me your feedback, I would love to know. What do you think? Non-college program, college program? What would you pick for aircraft dispatch? what kind of resources helped you in your dispatch education. Or if you're with an airline and you want to weigh in on the hiring debate, do airlines care? Put it in the comments. Love to hear what you think. Don't forget to like and share. Don't forget to like and share this with somebody else who you think would enjoy the content, and have a fantastic day.